Thank you. So I'm going to take a little different tack. Vera, you did a great job. Thank you. But mine's going to be focused more on revenue. How do we generate revenue? You know, the title is the Deterioration of Profits in Fixed. I want you to think about a couple things. You've heard 5, 6, 7 different ways of approaching your business from different speakers throughout the course of the day, all right? Now, what I'm going to tell you, as a student of the business, which you should be, if we're looking to grow our business and advance our business, we've got to study this business, okay? One of the recommendations that I have for you is not to look at the ideas and the techniques that were presented and how, oh, that wouldn't work in my store. Don't look at it that way. Look at it how you can make it work. Take that technique, put it in your toolbox, and keep it, because there's going to be a time you're going to have to face that situation, all right? Not all of these are going to come back, and the things I'm going to talk about, you're going to say, oh, that's bull. Got it. Understand that. But I'm never going to stand in front of you and tell you you've got to do it this way, all right? That's not the way we're wired. We're wired from a company standpoint. We work in stores every week, and we're working side by side with the managers, and we're coming up with ways to advance that store and to improve profits. But now if you think about our business, it's pretty straightforward. Customer retention has got to be the ultimate goal in all of our businesses. Now think about it. Customer retention is a very selfish thing. What would you rather work on? 7,000-mile car, 70,000-mile car, all right? You want the 70,000 because there's possibly more opportunities. That's 17, 18 feet of steel. Something's going to break on it eventually, all right? You want to be positioned to be the vendor of choice, that when that car needs something, that owner calls you, all right? Now, what that requires of us is to be innovative and creative in the way we approach our business. If you come in like this, you're going nowhere. We're going to continue to have customer retention numbers, you know, 30s and 50%, all right? We created this business. We made the aftermarket. Now, I'm going to show you a couple tech ads. I hope to hell we run the independents out of business, all right? We created the market. We started it, all right? And those customers come to us, but then what do? We force them out. Now, we force them out not based on we got up in the morning and say, okay, let's go push customers out. Because of the systems and the basic disciplines of our business, all right? We got to stay true to that, all right? So I want to talk to you about revenue, all right? You got to keep the customer coming back. We want them, all right? So the simple answer to increasing the profits in fixed ops, real simple, expect more, okay? If you're doing 50 hours a day, at what point do you expect 55? Our business is about performance. Look at what everybody's talked about. We got to perform at a higher level. Now, what's changed in our business, it's gone from a big ticket value down to a little ticket value. Everything about our business says you got to keep more customers coming back to you. We've got to be focusing on serving that client, and the ultimate goal is keeping that customer coming back long term. Quality across the board is all improved. Everybody's doing a great job improving the quality on their vehicles, all right? We got to keep them coming back. Basic discipline. So you got to expect more. The revenue generation in the service department, it's real simple. Flat rate hours times effective rate equals sales. Sales less cost of sales equals gross, gross less expenses equals net, and net profit's the sweetest words we're going to hear in this room. We need more. It's never enough. But we got to expect more. But we got to understand how to expect more. You got to start raising the expectations. So I'm going to give you a couple things to think about. First of all, ways to increase it would be allow your team to spike the ball. What's a good day? I go into stores all the time. What's a good day? How many hours do you do in a day? We do as many as we can. Really? How much is that? Is it 50? Is it 100? Is it 125? Now, once we have the opportunity. Now, my belief is very simply this. In your business, you have to give your team the opportunity to spike the ball in the end zone and do a dance. When do I do that? At what number? I've talked to people that say, oh, we want to do as many as we can. All right? How many is that? Well, you know, No, I don't know. Tell me exactly how many that is, because you can't manage your staff to a moving target. All right, so now once you get it to 100, now when do we raise it to 110 hours per day? When do we keep moving that expectation up? A lot of you in your sales departments, you do that in sales. What's the difference? Except your unit is a car 18 feet long and ours is an hour, because nothing happens until we generate that hour. That flat rate hour is most important. It's got to be done in a quality fashion where that customer doesn't come back, and we got to keep focusing on just expecting more and helping develop the processes and systems in the store to allow us to expect more. If you buy an alignment checker, do you expect to have more alignments? If you buy a new alignment machine, do you expect to have more alignments? All right, that's where that expectation is so very, very important in our business. Establish a daily goal. Must do. Your sales department, you establish a number of cars you want to sell each day. I've seen all kinds of trends and numbers and the way you track it, and we do the same thing in fixed, exactly the same thing. Establish individual production. Now, here's the challenge, and Vera talked about this a little bit, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit more detail because I think it's the most important thing in our business, is that technician, when they hit that door, they have a number in their minds that they want to do each and every day. Let's raise our expectations of their performance. Let's expect a little bit more. Why don't we set the technicians down? What do I got to do to help you improve your production? Oh, some managers like, no, don't ask them that. We got Johnny out there. He's real opinionated. He'll tell us things we might not want to hear. You need to hear it. Everybody's got a Johnny. Some of you are blessed with more than one, all right? But Johnny will give you information back. That information coming back is the key to your success as you grow your business. What you're trying to do is to eliminate those things that are precluding them from increasing their production. Some of them are going to be, welcome to the car business, that's the way it is, next issue. All right? But we've got to be able to sit down with that technician. Now, what we're trying to do is to take the individual number for each individual tech and show them how they fit into that overall number at 100 hours a day or whatever the number is. What is their contribution? Now we hold them accountable. We heard all kinds of things up here through the course of the day. Bottom line, biggest challenge we got, number one is leadership, and number two, accountability to the process. That's where we fall apart. You got the processes, but it's the accountability and the basic disciplines to tie them into that process. You got to base it on an individual basis. Doesn't make any difference how you pay them. How you stroke that check at the end of the week is irrelevant. Everybody's got a number, and that number is what we manage the staff to. So when that technician doesn't hit their production objective, we might give them preferential treatment the next day to help them make up for what they didn't do. All right? But we've got to work a plan. And that's part of the leadership portion of this business, is that we hit the door and we run around like a bunch of cockroaches. What's the plan? What's the victory? When do we get to spike the ball in the end zone? That's what we have to define. That's basic 101 business. Measure it daily. Heard it? We always got to measure it. We know that we've got a number of KPIs, but cut through all the clutter. If you want to increase your revenue, you got to go back to the hours. Nothing happens until you produce an hour. And that hour has parts that goes with it. We can very easily calculate what that number is going to be and what your grosses and so forth are going to be. We could do that very easily, but it's all about taking it back to the individual technician and giving them that opportunity to have an input into the overall equation. If we can take it back to the individual technician, the biggest part that's most exciting for me is psychological income. When's a technician done a good job? I interview technicians all the time. What's a good job? Oh, I think a good job's a 30K and front brakes. No. That's not what I'm talking about. How do you know you've done a good job for the company? What do you got to do? You'd be surprised how many people look at me like I got 3 heads. No one's ever asked me that before. Well, guess what, partner? Today's your day, because I just asked you. What is it? And when I ask them that question, they just stop. What is a good job? Now, we're out here talking about all these different philosophies, but it all comes back to the rubber on the road. What's a good job? You got to define that. Part of the production side is doing a good job. So now, once we set a production objective for the technician, now we got the opportunity to walk out there and say, partner, you did a heck of a job. Congratulations. How important is that? That technician is left out there, And a lot of times, because of the lack of leadership in some of the stores that we get involved with, there's no psychological income. But you've got technicians that psychological income is more important than the financial income, because they'll come into your office and sit down in the manager's office and say, hey, I fixed that car. Technical assistants couldn't fix it, but that little red wire with a blue tracer, and they go into all the details. What do they want? They're just like my 3-year-old. 8-headed caterpillar. Picture, right? They draw it all up. Here, what do I say? The hell is that ugly thing? I would never say that. What do? Beautiful picture. Labor pricing policy, as simple as this sounds. I know for a fact you can pick up $2 in your effective labor rate if you have a policy. You sit down with your advisors, you write it out, you put it in front of them, and you go over it with them. Now, in a number of your stores, you got challenges with discounts. I call it discountitis on the part of the advisors. They think everything's about the discount. Sound familiar from the sales department? Years ago, we took the negotiation away from the salespeople and give it to a desk manager, right? Because they were at the emotional point. But we have advisors out there who are going, you know what, Lee, a half a loaf is better than no bread at all. Yeah, I agree with that. But I've heard it too many times. Set a policy, write it out, show it to them. Have them sign it. Include your policy on discounts. I've seen people do this, pick up $2 in the effective rate, seamless to the customer. You don't have to charge more. You don't have to raise your door rate. You just collect more of what you already say your rate is. Don't focus the team on selling the business. Think about it. I need an oil change. Every time the light comes on, every 5,000 miles, every 6,000 miles, whatever it may be, I need an oil change. I don't have to be sold on that. We're a needs-based business. You don't have to sell me the water pump. What you got to sell me is I'm smart for picking your store as my vendor of choice. And that's not about focusing on selling the business, because the minute you focus on the selling the business and trying to overcome objections and trying to beat them down and get what's it going to take to get you to buy today, and you do all that, it doesn't work in service. They're going to walk. There's too many alternatives for me. I can go online and I can check with Repair Pal, and I can see what the independents are charging. And what we have a tendency to do is we have a tendency to push them to the independents, and we built their business for them because of our lack of understanding in some cases. I'm not saying all cases, but in some cases of what that customer wants. Sell the relationship. The highest compliment that we can receive from a customer is they come in and they hand us the keys and say, do whatever it takes and call me when it's done. It's highest level. That's the biggest compliment, and that's what we should work for each and every day. Sell the relationship. All right. Hiring techs. You heard a whole bunch of stuff about hiring techs over the course of the day. I'm going to give you some more, but I'm going to give you things that you can do right now. And I'm going to show you some examples. Hiring techs is a 24-hour job, 7 days a week. They don't bunch up like grapes. They're individuals, all right? We got to go to work and we got to get after it. It's not insurmountable. So a couple thoughts that I have. 24/7, 365. Don't say I can't. I hear people, oh, I can't hire techs. Wrong answer. You haven't done it yet. Because as soon as you convince yourself you can't, you won't, and you'll dry up and you'll go away and everybody's going to blow past you. 24/7, you look for technicians when you don't need them. May, June, July, August, this part of the country, traffic's usually up pretty high. Almost every single year that I've been in the consulting business, and that's been roughly 33 years, in May, June, and July, the number of classified ads jump because everybody waits until they need them to advertise for them. Let's not do that. Let's start advertising for when we don't need them. Get creative. You got to look at this differently. I ask managers all the time, who taught you how to write an ad? This file. And it's a regurgitation of all the ads that they've collected over the years sitting in their drawer. They pull it out and they write it just like the same ads like everybody else. Want it. Must have 8 bars down the arm, big old toolbox, come on down. Ain't nobody going to apply because you're advertising for what you want, not for what a technician wants. What does the technician want? What are they looking for? That's what we want to advertise. So I'm going to give you some ideas. This one right here. Put it out in front of the store. And that's all he did. Auto technicians want it. And it looped 60,000 drive-bys a day. Hired 2 technicians. The local town called the dealer, says, you can't put that sign out front. Here he comes back to the fixed ops director's office. What are you doing? Why did you put that ugly thing out in front of the store? He says, I'm trying to hire techs. He goes, okay, you got to get it down. The town's on me. They've called me now 3 times. You got to take it down. He says, okay. As soon as he opens up the door of the office to walk out, he turns to him. He says, did you hire any? He says, yeah, as a matter of fact, I've hired 2. Leave it up for a couple more days. It worked. 60,000 drive-bys. How many people are driving past their stores, going to work someplace else when this is closer to their house? This is a creative one to me. This particular manager put on his the little coasters, went to all the local restaurants and said, I'm going to give these to you. Need qualified technicians, call me. That's all it said. Restaurants jumped all over it, picked them up, put them down. Great idea, I thought. This is one that's running around right now. So if we are only keeping 50% of the business we create, the other 50% is going someplace else. So on the bottom of the oil filter, he just put his information for his store. On every oil filter when he changes oil, great idea. I loved it. All right, it's different, but it's creative. And see, the thing is, when you get to the defeated attitude, then these types of creative ways of approaching the business, we stop doing. That's what we need more of. This is one, billboards. Auto techs want it. Fair dispatch, important to a tech. More hours, important to a tech. Great benefits. He's advertising for what a technician wants. That's all I ask you to consider. Advertise for what the technician wants, not what we want, because they ain't going to apply. Do an inventory of why, and ask your managers this question. As a potential employee, why would I want to go to work for you? Now, if you tell me that you're a great place to work and you pay the highest hourly rates, wrong answers, because you don't even want to get into that. Talk to me about what's important to me as a technician. In my world, what's important? Parts service. Is that important to me as a technician? Advisor sales ability, important to me as a technician? You see what I'm saying? It's got to be done in that fashion, in my opinion. All right. So real quick, 2 things. 1, you got to be a student of the business. You got to be looking at the business, not looking at it from the standpoint of what you can't do, but what you can do. All right? As soon as you come up with those creative ways, run with it. You're going to stub your toe. Some of them are going to be very successful, and some are going to fall on your face. But you got to be a student of the business. Thank you very much.